right, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Christine Mojardo, and I am the Assistant Superintendent for Educational Services for the San Ramon Valley Unified School District, and I'm very excited to be here this evening for this very special and important event. As a school district in partnership with our PTA, we appreciate the time and effort that goes into bringing these important family engagement events to our school district families. Before, I would like to just take a moment and acknowledge our San Ramon Valley Council of PTAs. So it's a special thanks to Krista Glazer, who is our Vice President of Family Engagement, for planning this evening. A lot of work goes into this, and we could not do it without our council and without our parent volunteers. So a huge thank you to them for putting this together. Without further ado, I want to thank you all for taking the time this evening to be here, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Krista to get us started this evening.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Christine. My name is Krista Glazer. I use she, her pronouns. As Christine mentioned, am the Vice President of Family Engagement for the San Ramon Valley Council of PTAs. Please note you are muted with camera off, but you may submit questions in the question and answer section. Should you have any tech issues, please submit those in the chat box. We will do our best to get to as many of the questions as possible at the end of the presentation. Please also note that we are planning on recording this session for our YouTube channel, and we're also offering closed captioning for the session. I'd like to introduce the two organizations who are hosting this event. First, Culture to Culture Foundation is a nonprofit, community-based organization dedicated to promoting mental health and emotional wellness within the San Francisco Bay Area's growing Asian American community. We are honored to have their founder, Jaja Xian, here with us this evening. Second, we have Stanford CHIPAO, which stands for Communication Health Interactive for Parents of Adolescents and Others. CHIPAO was founded by faculty, staff, and students in the Stanford Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Sciences in response to a series of teen suicides in the Palo Alto Unified School District from 2009 to 2015. In 2015, 4 of the suicides were by Chinese American students. CHIPAO seeks to join hands with community partners to hold workshops that employ theatrical vignettes and audience participation to help Asian American families in the greater Bay Area understand the challenges that are faced by adolescents, including the possible impact of cultural expectations about success and mental health. Through the workshops, they aim to help families communicate more effectively about difficult topics and ultimately improve the well-being of families. The founder of CHIPAO, Dr. Rona Hu, is a clinical professor of psychiatry and behavioral sciences at Stanford University. She serves as the medical director of the acute psychiatric inpatient unit at Stanford Hospital, specializing in the care of those with serious mental illnesses. CHIPAO has received critical acclaim in the media and has presented at a number of schools and conferences. We're very lucky to have them here. The first vignette is going to be called Anti-Racism. Please keep in mind that we will be discussing difficult topics and we will be giving you the tools in order to address them. Please remember that the vignettes do simulate difficult real-life scenarios that parents face. And it focuses on specific emphasis on challenges that may arise in Asian American households. So without further ado, we will go ahead and begin.
Krista, did you want to introduce some of the people who sponsored first, the PTA and San Ramon Valley?
Yeah, I mean, thanks to the San Ramon Valley Unified School District, Christine was our assistant superintendent who was speaking previously. And also thanks to the San Ramon Valley Council of PTAs, we have our president here, we have our communications specialist. There's Lisa Gross, who's the president of our San Ramon Council of PTAs. And we are really excited to be able to be here.
Thanks. I just wanted to make sure if they wanted to come on camera to be recognized.
Yes, absolutely. And let me just get this all started here.
So we'll start with Anti-Racism 101.
Let me just get you both spotlighted, and then we should be able to go. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your patience, everyone.
Hey, look, don't make fun of me because I've been doing Zoom all the time now. You'd be so proud of me. I moved the screen, remember, from next to the piano in the living room, and then this hides all of the stuff you left here, including your bath toys. Everybody could see those because I can't get rid of anything because you get mad at me every time I do that. But anyway, I just sent you something. Tell me
Okay.
when you get it.
What'd you send me?
Ha, it's a surprise. You'll like it though. I know. But don't eat too much at once, okay? So you tell me when you get it. Don't eat too much at once, but don't blame me when you get sick, okay?
I won't get sick, and I'll try not to eat too many.
Let me look at you. Don't waste any though, okay? Uh, are you eating enough? Are you safe? I hope you're staying safe. I can't even read the news anymore.
You mean the protests?
It's so awful. People breaking things, and who do they think they are? Black lives matter? All lives matter. Why should my life mean any less than theirs, right?
Mom, that's not really what they're saying. No one's saying your life is worth less than theirs.
I couldn't even go downtown the other day. They had this mural and I had to go all the way around. How does that help anyone?
They want someone to see and hear what they have to say.
Then they should say it nicely. People would listen more. I've never gotten anywhere by yelling or breaking things. I've always worked hard and I've been nice to everyone. What? What's that face?
You don't know how racist you sound right now.
Don't talk to me that way. Racist? How could I be racist? I am the least racist per. I'm
Okay, that alone sounds pretty racist.
okay, so I can't win. I give up. Everything I say is wrong. Better to say I am racist. Does that make you happy? Okay, like our family owned black slaves in China. Are you happy now? No, because that's ridiculous. It is literally impossible for me to be racist.
It's not about like racists are one type of person and you are or you aren't one, but you do say racist things sometimes.
Okay, now I'm getting mad. What do you mean?
Like sometimes the way you talk, you and dad, or yeah, yeah, nai nai.
Okay, so now we're all racist?
Or when you paid Juanita less than the white cleaning lady.
Okay, I paid her exactly what she asked for. She was grateful for it. She didn't speak English. I was so nice to her even when she was late all the time.
You didn't have a car.
When I had a car, when I didn't have a car, I had to be on time or I would get fired. And I had to I had to learn English and I had to take the citizenship test and I just now people get all mad when they don't even have to learn English. They speak English all their lives and they don't have to take the citizenship test. And I'm proud to be a model minority, okay? I work hard, I pay taxes. What do those other people want?
They want what you want. They want to be safe, and they want for their families to be safe.
Then what are you blaming me for? It's not my fault. And why do you care so much? It's not our problem.
It is. It's all of our problem, and it can't be up to the people who are like hurt the most to do all the work.
So now I'm part of the problem.
In a way, yeah. I mean, it's not whether you're being a racist. It's more about, are you doing things, saying things that are racist?
Like what?
Do you remember Evan Robinson?
Okay, I know we should have sent you to Dartmouth. you wouldn't get ideas like this. Evan Robinson, that was in middle school. That was a very difficult decision. Your father and I talked so much about it before we said anything to you. You so innocent. You just make friends. You don't know anything about the busing and the arguments, and your father and I worked so hard to get you into the best school district. And then we wanted you to have successful friends. I mean, Evan was very nice, but we were trying to protect you. I remember your face when we said you couldn't be friends. I know it hurt you. It hurt our whole family. You were never the same to me after that.
Can you imagine what the Robinsons felt like?
But if you went over to their house after school, their neighborhood wasn't safe. That's why they got bussed in. They might be ashamed of their home. Mrs. Robinson was a single mother. She might have a boyfriend who was you never know. She never came to the PTA meetings.
She couldn't. She had other kids. She had 2 jobs.
Okay, I can't expect you to understand me, but we did what we thought was best. And when I think of Mrs. Robinson, I feel sad. I really do. It wasn't her fault.
Mom, have you seen the video of George Floyd being murdered? This innocent man dying on a street in broad daylight and calling out for his mom. I mean, what if that had been Evan calling out for Mrs. Robinson?
Okay. I'm not a monster, okay? I think when I heard about that, I did think at first that man must have done something wrong to have it happen. But then I mean, I'm a mother. When I heard about him crying for his mother, there wasn't anything he could have done or anything he did do to deserve that. I can't watch the video. I can't. So maybe you're a better person than me. I don't know. You're right.
I'm not saying that, and I'm not saying you're a monster. I'm just saying we can all be better people. We all need to do a better job of listening and supporting other people.
Okay, but it's not my fault, okay? I never knew anyone black when I was growing up. It was all on TV and the movies, and they just mostly seem so dangerous sometimes. Not always, but a lot.
But Asians were portrayed that way in TV and movies too. When we weren't completely erased, we were portrayed as conniving, evil, dirty, dangerous, and so many other stereotypes that just aren't true. And 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 there's a lot that other people don't understand about us and about all the amazing people in our community. And there's a lot that we don't understand yet about other people.
I guess that's right. I remember when the guy on Kung Fu, you're too young to remember this, but it was supposed to be Bruce Lee. And then they made it a white person because if we were bad, we were visible, but if we were good, we were played by white people. Katharine Hepburn, I mean,
Yeah.
But at least when Black people were portrayed badly, they were noticed. We were always outsiders. We were invisible. Like, do you remember the time at Disneyland? That loud white family cut in front of us. We were waiting for hours for Space Mountain or Matterhorn. I don't remember, but we were there for hours. And then right near the front, they cut in front of us. And then they called us names and they laughed in our face because they knew they could get away with it. They knew we wouldn't do anything and they knew no one would help us. Like we didn't exist. I was so humiliated.
Mom, of course I remember. That was so painful. Racism can take a lot of different shapes in the world. I have a friend who got pulled over on his bike ride home from the library, and he got accused of stealing the bike because they didn't think he was a student because he was Black. And this friend, he's the smartest and hardest working person I know. But every class, he has to prove himself to everyone, every single time. I can't imagine. It's exhausting enough trying to prove myself to you.
That's funny. I'm sorry about your friend. I'm sure I wouldn't be mean to him on purpose, but maybe sometimes I'm more afraid if I see, I don't know, at night, well, not a Black woman, but maybe a Black man, I would be more scared. But if he's not dressed well, maybe that's why they always dress so nicely. I guess maybe I thought it was vanity.
I can tell you're trying.
Look, you can't blame me. It's natural to be afraid of people who are different, okay?
But that's what people say about us, that we are foreign and alien and will never be real Americans, and there's nothing we can do about it, right? You hate it when people do that. But our pain, it's not the same as theirs, but it's also not a competition.
It's not so simple. You're too young to remember Rodney King. 4 white police officers beat a Black man, and then they set fire, the Black people, they rioted, they set fire to Koreatown. The Koreans didn't do anything, but somehow they got blamed. It was scary and it was totally unfair.
It was unfair. That's exactly why we can't let that happen again. Because unfair things lead to more unfair things. And I read about Rodney King in one of my classes. And, if the Black community and the Asian community had been allies and stood together, they wouldn't have been able to be pitted against each other. And it's called being an ally, We can't control what other people do, but we can decide whether we want to do the right thing and whether we want to help others when they need it, they ask for it.
Yeah. The worst part about the thing at Disneyland, it wasn't even just the Loud family, it was all the other families. They just let it happen. We were completely helpless. If even one dad or mom had said something to those awful people, or I don't know, if they were afraid of them, they could have just looked one of us in the eye and nodded to show they saw. Or I don't know, they could have told the park officials. But they just looked away. Not their problem.
It was awful. Imagine if it happened to us, to Ye, Nai Nai, to Evan, Mrs. Robinson, Juanita. Imagine it happened to us all the time on lines and buses and taxis, and everyone always believed it was our fault. So I think what I'm trying to say is, even if we're not acting like the loud family who cuts people, we also don't want to act like the people who just look away either. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to be like the people who look away. Every time I think of it, I just wish I could make it not happen. But if I could keep it from happening to someone else, you're a good person. I think it sounds like you're getting something from all that tuition we're paying you. Maybe I can learn something too.
I don't even think they'll charge you extra for that.
Young people always think you know everything.
I wonder where I got that from.
All right, thank you so much. That was the first vignette entitled Anti-Racism 101. Now our second vignette is about to begin, and that one is entitled Pride. Thank you.
Hi, Jason. Hey, wait. What? Why? What are you? Why are you laughing at me? What's wrong? What?
Mom, you got to turn on your video.
What do you mean? I can see you.
There's a button. There's a button.
What? I can see you just fine. I don't know what.
I can't see you.
I told you I have. Oh, wait. Okay, hold on. Okay, wait.
I see the ceiling.
I got a new camera. This is. Okay.
There we go.
You see me now?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay.
Perfectly.
Okay. You would be so proud of me. I just finished my Zumba class. That's why I got this sweatshirt, and it says there's like a Zumba word on it. And I'm glad your campus is open at least. You have to get me a Stanford sweatshirt, okay? Oh no, a t-shirt. That's cheaper. I can wear it everywhere. It's gonna make Luna so jealous. And Rebecca, because you know, Rebecca Fong's son did not get into Stanford. Ha ha. Oh, is this making too much noise? I could take it off.
Mom, what's that you're wearing?
This is a funny story. They were giving them out at Zumba class, and you know, it was free. And I like the Zumba instructor. He's very handsome. And so I got one. And then, did you know that rainbows are gay? So, you know, I hate to throw anything out, but, you know, it's You hardly know what to do anymore. Nothing's safe. I mean, they wanted the instructor. Like I said, he's handsome and I like him, but he wanted me to wear it at a parade. Can you imagine? I don't understand why there has to be a parade to celebrate their sexual activity.
Mom, what do you mean? Isn't that kind of homophobic? Also, being gay isn't, just talking about how much sex they have. It's a whole identity that they can hold.
I'm not homophobic. I just disagree with their choice and their lifestyle. Besides, it's not like I go around telling everybody I'm straight. They don't have to shove it in my face.
Mom, it's not the same. Like, do you know how much gay people have gone through? Queer people face a lot of discrimination, and like, even at my old school, they would get bullied and beaten up, and a lot of people actively shame and hate gay people.
Well, they should be ashamed. It's not like we had this before in China. We come to the United States and suddenly we see gay people everywhere. We're forced not only to let them marry, but to celebrate it.
How can you say that? Gay people have always existed, Mom. It's not just a trend or fad. Like, only 20 years ago, like, being gay was a crime, but attacking someone for being gay was not considered a hate crime. Like, there's a whole history of gay people feeling too ashamed and afraid to come out, and instead living secret lives hidden from their families and their friends, and things have
Wait,
changed, and it's
wait, how can you say this? How do you know any of this? Don't argue about meaningless things that you don't even know about.
Mom,
Yeah.
what if I told you I was gay? Mom?
I'm sorry. I guess it hit the I st- what did you say?
What if I told you I liked other men? That it's not possible for me to fall in love with a woman.
What if you told No, don't be ridiculous. That's a stupid question.
Mom, please, just tell me. What would you say?
I can't even think about it, okay? It's wrong. It's not normal. It's not natural.
How do you know it's not natural? Wouldn't it matter that I was your son?
You wouldn't be my son. It doesn't happen in our family, Jason. It's never happened. I don't know anyone who's gay.
I don't know what to say.
Exactly. There's nothing left to say. Why are you even asking this?
I don't know. I don't even know why I asked. I knew you'd respond like this.
Exactly. Now, promise me. Promise me you won't bring this up again, that you won't even think about being gay, that you won't have gay friends.
What? Where is this coming from?
We were talking about it at church. People are so afraid. Young people like you, they see gay people on TV and then they think it's cool. And then their friends turn gay and you turn gay because everyone else does.
Mom, that's ridiculous. They obviously don't choose to be gay.
Of course. What? You think God made them like this?
But who would choose this? Who would want to live their life in fear and shame and guilt, and who would choose to feel like they have no one to go to, that no one understands and accepts them, that no one will ever love them, not even their own family? Who chooses to feel like there's no option, Mom, that there's never going to be any hope? Tell me.
Where's this coming from? Why are you acting like this?
Nothing. Nowhere. Just forget it.
You're not like that, right? Gay? You're not gay. Promise me. Think about what our family would think. Promise,
I'm done here.
Jason. Where did you? Where? Hello?
Hi, I'm Dr. Das.
Who are you?
I am Dr. Das, and I'm so glad I was here. What just happened?
Are you part of the Zoom upgrade that I paid for?
Yeah, I
Oh.
am. And I am here to help you.
You said what just happened?
What just happened?
I don't know. I think I said something wrong. He tried to tell me about gay people, so I asked him why. And then he asked me what would happen if he were gay. I don't know what to think. And then he left.
Do you think he was trying to tell you something about himself, maybe?
I don't know. I mean, I hope. How am I supposed to talk to him?
Well, I think you just shut him out. You told him that something like that just doesn't happen in your family, that you don't know anybody who's gay, that he has to promise that he's not gay and he's never going to bring it up. I think that shut him up. What are you worried about?
I don't. He should know I'm not his enemy. I'm worried. What am I worried about? I'm worried about what will happen to him. I think he thinks I'm mad at him, but I'm scared. Really,
And-
we're on the
Yes,
same side.
yes, and I think he is petrified too. You know, what are you scared about?
I'm scared he'll be lonely. I'm scared. He talked about people being mean to bullies.
Yeah.
I'm scared how everyone will treat him, and I'm scared he won't have children.
Well, let's put the children thing aside for a bit, but don't you think he's thought about all of those things? Don't you think he knows that he might get alienated? People may misunderstand him. They'd be rude. They'd make fun of him. And do you want to join that group of people? Because you know he'll have plenty difficulty.
No, I'm on his side.
And if you are on his side and you accept him just the way he is, then already he has an ally. Already he has the strength to face the whole world, because there is nobody more important than you are in his life. And you know, if he can always have a child, that's doable. Gay couples have children.
I've heard of that. I just wish you're right. I did that all wrong. I wish I could go back in time and start over again.
You know what? You actually paid for that too in this particular Zoom upgrade. So where do you want to go back? Where do you want to start?
Oh, when it went wrong, I think, can we go back to where I dropped my bracelet?
Sounds like a good idea. Let's make it happen.
Mom, what if I told you I was gay?
What if you, I'm not sure if I understand.
Actually, yeah. The thing is, I think, well, I'm pretty sure I might be gay. And this isn't easy for me to say because I know you probably won't understand, but I didn't want to keep lying to myself or to you. And I didn't want to keep pretending. And I'm so tired of hiding, Mom.
Wow, I'm surprised. I'm surprised, Jason. I'm just confused. Okay, have you tried? I mean, there was that girl. What was her name? She was so pretty. I thought you liked her. Maybe you just haven't met the right girl. Okay, that wasn't the right thing to say.
What? Mom, what are you thinking?
I don't know. I don't know. I just I never thought it would happen. Not in our family, you hear about this on TV or gossip sometimes, like neighbors. When you say you're pretty sure you might be, maybe this is a phase. I mean, was it something I did?
Sorry, Mom. I mean, I am gay. I've known for a long time, Mom. And no, it's nothing you or Dad did. Parenting doesn't make someone gay. And it's not a choice. I've tried so hard to deny this and change myself and been bullied a lot. And I'm just really scared because you and Dad never talk about this. And sometimes you say really hurtful things about gay people. And I've even been scared that you wouldn't love me if you knew. But I can't hide this anymore. And I really need someone to talk to.
I'm sorry. If I said, we love you, right? Maybe we never say so, but we do. But what will happen to you? You hear about gay men. They only like you when you're young and handsome. You'll be alone in your old age. Or you'll be, or maybe you won't even get old. Maybe you'll get AIDS and die. And you'll never have children. Oh, Jason, you be such a good father. Don't.
I won't get AIDS. Anyone can get AIDS from unsafe sex, not just gay people. And most gay people now know the risks and they won't get AIDS. And a lot of them live happy and successful lives. I want to be happy. And I want to accept and embrace who I am. And I want to grow old with someone too. And I want to have a beautiful wedding and too many relatives at a Chinese restaurant afterwards. And I want to have kids and teach them the lessons that you've taught me. And I want you to be proud of them, just like I want you to be proud of the man I become.
I am.
I need you there with me, Mom.
I
Please.
When you got into Stanford, I told everybody, I'm proud of you, but I just worry about what people will think. Like, you know, the other people in our family, you know which ones I'm talking about. And Yaya Nana would disown you. And at church, the things they said at church, I'm just scared, Jason. I'm scared of how people will treat you.
I'm scared too, Mom. But it's already happening. Whispers in the hallways in high school, hate messages on Facebook, homophobic stuff in the news all the time. It makes me wish I wasn't gay. And I tried really hard to change it, to be straight. But I'm tired of faking it. And I don't want to change it anymore.
You,
I'm tired of lying to you by admission. I'm tired of being afraid of everyone all the time. I'm still me, Mom. Just not hiding this time.
you said something about being bullied. Was that at your old school?
Yeah, Mom. I guess someone spread rumors about me being gay. I don't know how they knew. But sometimes they'd lock me in the girls' restroom stall and call me gay and faggot. My friends don't know, and I don't really have anyone to talk about this to. I just feel really alone. Like no one thinks I'm human, and I have to put on this mask and pretend like I'm someone I'm not at the time. And I don't know. I don't know if there's anything I can do.
When they hurt you, they hurt me. I Kids are mean, but I can't believe I didn't. I, 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 I have to do something. They can't get away with this. I'm calling the school. I'm calling the school right now. I'm gonna leave a message. There's always the answering machine. And
It's
why can't I find a number? I used to have it memorized.
Mom. It's okay. Mom. It's okay. I'm fine. It's fine.
I'm sorry. I should turn off the mute when I first. Okay. I know. I know I don't I know I don't know how other people are going to react. Not even our family. I don't know, but maybe I have to start with me. If you need me to be there with you, even if other people are against you, you'll have me. You have me. I'll do my best. I promise you that. I wish I could hug you. The stupid Zoom. I just,
I was so scared to tell you, Mom. You have no idea. I replayed this conversation in my head so many times.
I'm with you. You're my son. You'll always be my son. Want to touch the screen? I can't find the button.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful. We are going to get into the question section now. So again, I'll just note for everyone that the Q&A button on the bottom would be the best place for you to submit your questions. So if you want to go ahead and do that, you may. We had a number of questions that were submitted online previously, so I'm going to go ahead and get started with those. The first one was around how do we discuss hard topics with our teen and make them feel at ease and able to share with us.
That's a wonderful question, and I'd like to also include the other members of CHIPAO that are here, and also, the school board, Jaja Chen, and so forth. We started CHIPAO because when we started to talk with parents, they really didn't want us to just tell them things. They wanted us to show them. And I'm a parent of a teenager myself. Dr. Das is as well. And Edric is a recent teenager, a teenage alum, as you said, Krista. So part of what we're trying to do is to show how to talk about difficult things. We started CHIPAO before the pandemic, and even more now. It's hard to deal with all of these challenges that we're facing, and so we need some help with communication skills. Some of the things, the two vignettes that we used, one had the format of version A or version 1.0 and version 2.0 with Pride, and everything that we do comes from real life, either experiences that happen to one of us or someone we know. We change some of the details to protect privacy, but so I think part of the answer to the question is to keep the dialogue going and to not shut people off. As Dr. Das observed in the Pride vignette, as soon as the mom started to say, "You wouldn't be my son, I will not accept this," even if she meant well, it came across as her being angry at him or even hating him, and that shut down the conversation very quickly. In the first vignette, Anti-Racism 101, the mom at first said some things that I think a lot of us have thought at times, why are they so special, or why, I've had trouble too, why, or all lives matter. Many people had that reaction, and by keeping the dialogue going, so, oh, by the way, Edric's not really my son. I would be proud to be his mother, but so I'll sometimes call him Jason, who's the person who's now a Harvard medical student who wrote the Pride vignette. But he by emphasizing for me, the mom, that it's not about someone being a racist or not a racist, that it's like a fixed personality trait that can never be changed, by pointing out times that the mom had done things that had effects that were hurtful. Um, then she was able to listen and realize that, if I call someone sexist, racist, any of these things, then they get defensive. And I think this is true of our children as well. If you say you're lazy, you're this, you're that, then um, then it's a personality trait. Whereas if you say something like, you know, um, it looked like you waited until the last minute, so like a specific action that could be improved, and not make it about you are lazy or you aren't lazy. If it's, I forget who came up with the terms fixed mindset versus growth mindset, but if with our, not only our offspring, but with ourselves and with each other, if we label ourselves as something that can't be changed, then of course I wouldn't want to listen to input from my child about whether I'm being homophobic or racist, because then I defend myself. I'm not racist. Racists are bad people. I'm not a bad person. But if I listen to mom, that thing that you did that hurt somebody, that was not very sensitive or that was not very helpful, then I'm able to sort of grow and say, oh yes, I remember that, and I remember realizing that that hurt you and that hurt somebody else too. I think that's those are just some starts. I know as more questions come in, we'll probably come up with other things that are um, helpful in bringing up difficult topics. And
I think
always,
yeah, sorry.
oh,
I
I was
was
going to say
wondering
Dr.
if I
Doss.
could, hi, I was wondering if I could add something. So in our cultures, I think that there is this understanding that if you are older, then you obviously know better. And disagreement is equal to disrespect. So there is no way for the child then to disagree, because that's the end of conversation. And to bring up difficult topics, you have to create space for disagreements, and you have to create space for some ability for you to acknowledge that, oh, gee, I may have gotten that wrong. And rather than think of it as an attack or disrespect, be amazed that your child is probably a better version of you. And be okay with that and proud about that. And I think that was so amazing about this interaction between mom and child, where mom not only changed her mind, she was like, you are such an awesome human being. I am so proud of you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. There was a question that came in around why the use of vignettes. Like, what was it about this that particularly made it important for you to go out and do these things?
I think it actually started with a parent request that when um, after there was a series of suicides, um, we gathered in that particularly hurt the Asian community. We got several Asian mental health professionals together to talk to our local school, and um, people listened, but then afterwards we handed out papers that people could write things on, and a bunch of them, at least 5 or 6, said, show us, don't tell us. They said, we're trying, if you say, like, first of all, even though I use PowerPoint all the time, as a professor and as an academic, nobody ever asks me for more PowerPoint. So when you say, talk to your children and listen and so forth, um, that's easier said than done. And so by showing both how it happens in real life, the way that, something difficult happens. We have many vignettes, by the way. We chose 2 tonight to present, but when we were doing them live before the pandemic, um, we chose some that could be transformed to Zoom. Um, we I think it was a parent who suggested the Pride vignette. We have one that we do live called Unsuitable Boy, where my darling daughter starts dating a non-Chinese boy, non-Asian boy, and I don't approve. And actually, in that vignette, which we do live, I serve him century eggs as a test. Can drive him away. And if you don't know what century eggs are, you can ask that and I can explain. But anyway, one of the moms then raised her hand. So I said, this could be someone who is the wrong ethnicity or religion. And then one of the moms, who was very brave, said, what if it's the wrong gender? And then we said, this is something that we need to address. I see that there's so many people here tonight, and I know that, the majority will not have gay offspring, but you will all know someone. You will all be the neighbor or the auntie or someone who can help. And gay young people are at a higher risk of suicide. If there's someone who where you can let them know that they're okay and that that that
They are loved and accepted.
that they're loved and accepted, then that will save lives.
Yes, for sure.
Thank you for that. That's so important. There was another question that came in, and I just will read it to you and open it up. My child thinks I want them to be perfect, but I just want them to maximize their potential. How can I communicate that to them?
That's a great question. Bibi, do you want to start on that?
I can start on this one actually, if that
Oh, good.
from the child's perspective.
Yes.
I think the kind of difference for me is when it feels like you have to be perfect, it feels like a test, like your parents are testing you, like you have to earn their love and support, as opposed to, I think when, you really just want what's best for them, you want to maximize their potential. It feels more like you're on their team, like you're on their team against the world. So it doesn't feel like, you have to prove yourself to me. It's more like, how can I help you? Like, how can I really just be on your team? And I think sort of saying it in that way, like makes, I think the kid feel like they can be a little bit more honest about, these are things that I just really don't like doing. And I don't even want to I think necessarily try to be the best at math or tennis or what have you. But I think it opens up a little bit more the things that they are really excited about and would love your support and your guidance on.
I don't think I can improve on that.
Yeah, I think that it just, the question did feel like a little bit pressure, yeah, like you can't just, you have to keep on optimizing, right? That feels like pressure. And God knows there's enough pressure even without anybody reminding somebody to be the best version of themselves all the time and put the best foot forward. Sounds exhausting.
Perfectionism is actually the highest, the most correlated with depression in Asian young people than anything else. So if they look at personality traits, in some other groups, it's not as big of an issue, but for Asians, it is the number one trait associated with depression.
And I think if you then add Asian plus first generation immigrant, then it becomes even harder because first generation immigrants anyway have a problem with margin of error. Because you come from a culture there where you don't have the luxury of having margin of error.
That's a good point. That I'm glad you brought that up, because I think for the offspring, for the children, it feels like they are it feels like the parents are putting the pressure on them for whatever, for no good reason. I remember speaking at the Asian sorority at Stanford. And when I said, so why are your parents doing this? Is it to drive you crazy? And they were like, yes. Because it feels that way. But then when we talked about for immigrant families, a lot of times it it really it really would have been a luxury to be able to fail and try again. That's not true in many countries. Um, in China, the Dakao, the big exam, you take it once. You don't get to take it again like you can do SATs or APs or things like that.
Same in India.
Yeah,
Same in India.
there's
It's
no,
one 3-hour exam that decides the entire trajectory of your life.
yes.
So
So that's perfectionism. I mean that, of course, the generation who comes from a different upbringing is going to feel that pressure.
mhm.
If you realize though that, you know, that we all came here for a reason, that there are things here that like second chances, like the ability to fall and get up again, um, that that one's own experience from the past doesn't necessarily apply completely to your children's experience. So I think I sometimes use the analogy that in many cultures, maybe most cultures, there's success is like a ladder, and if you have to climb rung by rung, and if you miss one, then you tumble down and you fall off. Hi, Hasnain.
Hi there.
Hi. Yeah. We can have a separate thing about dads. We need to have more vignettes about dads. Anyway, um, the idea that if you climb this ladder and if you miss, then you'll tumble to the ground and never get up again. That is, I think, the culture of places where you only get one chance as an exam. Um, and there are some correlations with suicide rates. Korea has a very high suicide rate. Um, Brazil is a very large country that has a lower um, suicide rate than the US or Asian countries. It actually has a very large Asian population, but one of the differences is that you have the opportunity to take the college entrance exam again if you didn't do well the first time, and that there are other things that are taken into account. So yeah, so instead of a ladder, the US system is, I think, genuinely more like a mountain. Any number of people can climb the mountain at the same time, and it's not a strict linear ranking, and you can actually go sideways or rest, or as you're maximizing your potential, there are ways in which you can do it in different timelines and in different ways, many different paths.
Also, it looks like someone sent this in, so I just want to call it out also, that like even the words optimization and maximization can sometimes don't mean the same thing to everybody. And so just clarifying, like, what does that mean to you? Why does that mean that to you? And if it means something different to me, how can we kind of reconcile the differences that we have for what we want?
Yeah, even the words have a little bit of pressure to them, even if they're not intended.
Yeah.
I see there's a question about talking to teens about drugs, and this is such an important topic and a really scary one, right? A really difficult one. And I remember we were doing a vignette about a different topic, about cutting, that some teens will do as a way to coping, a very maladaptive way of coping, but they may not feel like they have a choice. And I remember at one of the live events, a father said, when she had blood on her sleeves, I thought it was drugs, and I don't approve of drugs. And that was a good opening for a conversation about, in that vignette, the parent didn't approve of cutting, but really the girl didn't approve of cutting either.
Mhm.
She didn't, it wasn't something that she enjoyed. She was, this was a cry for help. This is how she coped. Drugs have some effects that are, um, you know, there, some of it is fun or partying or something, but some of it is also a way of coping when, on some level, I think the teen doesn't, the teen knows, and agrees in some ways about not wanting to use drugs. Drugs are addictive. It is hard to quit, um, but they also serve all kinds of things that are, purposes that if you just sort of say don't do drugs and don't address other issues that are fueling the drug use, I think, so if you just say, just stop, um, you know, I was working with a patient's family where they wanted, someone to do, actually, it wasn't drugs, it was also an addictive behavior, but not chemically addictive. And they wanted their, child to be doing less social media. And so, we sort of agreed on, what they call SMART goal, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time, um, time sensitive goals of cutting down from like 4 hours to 2 hours. But then the question was, what do we do with the extra hour, with the
Mhm.
extra hours? And then,
And
um,
it's not helpful to say, do your homework instead.
yes, yes, that that because that the social media in that case, or the drugs, are serving some purpose, if you then say we're going to take something that you find relaxing or enjoyable and we're going to substitute something that we think you should be doing, then, that's doomed to failure. Whereas if it's like, okay, you've been doing social media, it has these problems. Your, your self-esteem is terrible now because you keep scrolling through these fashion things, and you're very conscious about your weight, or you're very conscious about these things. What are some things that could be enjoyable and relaxing, um, that are not this? And so the teen chose some different things, um, and they weren't the, optimizing things that the parents wanted, but they were less harmful than the, social media, and so they had some chance of succeeding. So if you replace something that you think is very harmful with music, even if they're not going to be a music, you know, major or something like that, if you replace it with hanging out with friends, if you replace it with, so in this case, the teen agreed to sit down and watch TV together with the parents. And so that would be some social, she wouldn't be entirely isolated. And also, if there were harmful stereotypes, then they could talk about them instead of her just being exposed to this endless array of, you know, soul crushing, um, ideals of femininity that were making her feel worse and worse.
I think just to add on to the just about like how to talk to kids about drugs. Um, I think Dr. Dawes said this earlier, and I really liked it, but um, proactively making space for it. I feel like there are so many differences, I think, between me and my parents, and it feels like there's so many differences between just one generation. And I think drugs and a lot of these other things can fall into that. And I think just making this space to like, I don't think it needs to be any more than, hey, like, if if you ever want to talk about these things, like, just know that I'm here and I want what's best for you, and I want to support you, because I think, frankly, like, I think a lot of teens might not even think to go to their parents. I think we would go to the internet, or we go to our friends, or so many other places, when I think just going to our parents would probably be the best move, and a place we can get a lot of support. So yeah, I think doing it with like an open heart and with an openness, and that makes that space, would be really helpful.
And not having taboo topics, I think, is a good idea. And the second thing is to come from a space of curiosity rather than freak out. Because if the parents are already freaked out, then the kid is not going to be upfront. And when parents are talking to their children, to remember that they were teenagers too, and there were plenty things they didn't tell their parents. Every generation does that. So it's not like, part of it is normal. But the more you get accepted, the less you are likely to not be authentic with your parents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were a couple of questions around like, how do I handle the mood swings of my teen? I see anger, I see them being argumentative, lying to me. And so since this came up through a number of questions that people submitted, I was just hoping you could address some of that.
Those are great questions. They're not all the same questions, so maybe we'll have to break it down into little bits. I'm gonna start with the lying one because I think that's teens generally lie about something where they're afraid to tell the truth, and so being able to have an open conversation where they know that you won't freak out, where they can say if there's something that's scary or so forth. Um, in one of the vignettes where we address talking about uh, sort of this was one actually for like dads and daughters, talking about drinking at parties and so forth, having a conversation about when if you're in an altered state, you're more vulnerable, and then actually um, bringing out the girl's kind of natural, um, wanting to help her friends and saying, if anybody needs a ride, you let me know. If so many times we've heard about tragedies where things went from bad to worse when the kids thought that they would get in trouble and they lied and they covered up, and so they didn't get help for someone because they thought, that the punishment would be worse than the problems with the drugs or so forth. So working with them around, like, if are they lying about someone they're dating? Are they lying about um, if you can have a conversation where you're on their side, that some of the consequences of a behavior kind of scare you, to keep it um, loving even when it's difficult. I was hoping that in the Pride vignette, even when the mother said some things that were hurtful, she was still, she loved her son, and um, and when she wasn't communicating that, then he wasn't going to tell her what was really happening, and would likely go forward and lie. Um, part Parts of that. So most of the vignette was written by, as I said, a Harvard medical student, formerly at Stanford. And but version 2, the some of that came from my life, where I had some friends from high school, um, one of whom, his mother did pretty much what version 2.0 was. She expressed her fears that he would be lonely or get AIDS or not have children. And just like Dr. Das said, he has a son, and his partner has a biological son, um, with with 2 women that they co-parented with, um, and actually he's with his partner for longer than I've been with my husband, and we've been married for more than 25 years. So that stability that his mother wanted him to have, he has that. And then on the other side, there was um, a friend whose um, family didn't accept him, whose brother actually beat him up when he tried to come out as gay, and so he hid and lied And he did end up dying of AIDS because he couldn't have a relationship where he could bring somebody home to meet his parents. He had more temporary relationships, and of course, that put him at risk. So, someone texted me something nice about the acting, and thank you. But in many ways, I don't think any of us are really acting. We're both the pain that we've seen and experienced, and then the hope for things getting better. That's all real.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. There are a couple more questions here in the Q&A. I'm happy to read it off. My teen is beginning to explore with friends. I feel like I am not going to know what they are up to. How do parents deal with this while allowing the child to explore and experience incremental independence?
I did a lot of talking on the last one. Who wants to start on this one?
Explore what I guess is what I'm interested in knowing. Some explorations are fantastic, some not so much. I think, again, just being able to talk, just having open-ended questions and not have this idea that around the dinner table, they have to prove themselves and all the things that they are doing right, but just being curious about their experiences. So who did you talk to? What did you guys talk about? And, kind of being part of their lives, not like to helicopter them, but as just, I love you, I am interested in your experiences, I want to grow with you in ways that I couldn't in my life. I think keeping that dialogue going can be back and forth. And the truth is, all of us have made mistakes. It's not just only teenagers get into trouble. Many, many, many adults get into trouble and do things that they regret. So it's not just something that's, unfortunately, just for teenage brains. So just to have that humility and curiosity, so that if something goes wrong, it hopefully can be talked about early rather than later. I think that's how every child is different, so there isn't any algorithm. But I think that if people can talk to each other, if the child really feels that they're loved no matter what, they're celebrated no matter what, just like we love our parents no matter what. You don't tell your father, I love you more if you make $1 million next year. And you made 750, duh, that's B minus. That doesn't work. So it's, why is it any different with grades?
And
100% agree with everything Dr. Das just said. And I think going back to the question, it was like about like exploring with friends. And I think the few questions come up. One is, what are you exploring? And two is like, why are you exploring? I think in high school, at least, I think a lot of exploration kind of comes because everyone else is doing it and you don't want to get left out, and you want people to like you, and all these things, whether you're exploring like just, new friendships with people, or dating, or sex, drugs, alcohol. And a lot of times it's like not because I think the teen actually wants to do that thing. It's just, it's new and everyone's doing it. And yeah, so I think sometimes I feel like when I was in high school, at least, I feel like I also remember thinking like, oh, like I want people to like me. I think if everyone likes me, then I think my parents will also like think that I'm cool and like me more as well. And to go back to something Dr. Dawes said, like, I think like affirmation is a really important thing. And I know at least in Asian families, like there's a lot of stuff that doesn't get said. And, it's very, and a lot of like, Chinese, Korean, other Asian families, like, I love you, or I'm proud of you, or, you're amazing, and all these things. Like, yeah, it doesn't get said that often, but sometimes I think like just knowing like, oh, like my parents think I'm awesome just the way I am, and I don't need to like do all these things for all my friends to tell me that I'm awesome, like, because I already know that I am because my parents told me. I think that actually goes a really long way.
Yeah, absolutely.
That goes a long way. I um I'm reflecting as Edric is saying this, that in my family it was very rare to compliment, and not because they're mean, but I think some of it is a little bit I don't know, I don't want to say superstitious because that sounds ignorant, but I think there's a long tradition of worrying that saying, oh, you're wonderful will bring misfortune.
So
You
in
know,
Indian cultures, it's like if you say you're wonderful, then you're going to get lazy and you won't work hard anymore. I remember my mom saying, "Why should I say it? Other people will say it." And I'm like, "Who has the time? Like, are you crazy? Of course they won't. Why would they care? And why would I care if they think I'm amazing? I want to know that you think I'm amazing."
and so having that protection of having of knowing that your parents would stand by you no matter what,
And
that
I think that
would go
love should not be be contingent on something, whether it's grades, whether it's how well you play a sport or whatever. It is something intrinsic to you that nobody can strip away. And I just love you because you are a wonderful human being, or you're just mine, and I love you, and I love you because I cannot not love you. I think that's what kids need to hear, that I couldn't stop love you if I wanted to.
Yeah. And they're so vulnerable too. At in during the teen years, um, there's research that um, that even even if they know that something is dangerous, even if they don't really, if they're not really that interested in something like drugs or something, that that social um, social death, social losing out, having people shun you, or is more painful during this stage. It actually evolutionarily makes sense because, in our distant ancestors, teens were, about to become parents. And
Mhm.
so social status was everything. And so hormonally during this stage, um, I can't remember the name of the lecturer, but he at Stanford, but he pointed out that when he joined a new school, that they told him to climb the water tower, and he knew that if he fell from the water tower, he would die, or he would be permanently maimed and never the same again. So it wasn't that he didn't know the danger, but he also felt like if he didn't do that, then he would have no friends at his new school. So he climbed the water tower, and luckily he survived. But later, reflecting on that, it's sort of like, it's not that I didn't know it was dangerous. So telling teens that drugs are dangerous and so forth has some effect, but not nearly, I think, enough. When what they most want to do is to prove that they're cool, um, then they're very vulnerable. And so if you as their parent can vaccinate them against, this peer pressure, so it's sort of like, yes, of course you want friends, and you want whatever, but also kind of let them know you're there for them no matter what.
I think we have time for one more question, if that's okay. Here it is. It's, if your teen does not trust you or does not share much with you, how do you build trust with them?
You have to earn it, right? It's hard because if you say trust me, that pretty much almost never works.
What about
um,
self-disclosure? Maybe that would work. If you make yourself vulnerable in front of your teen, talk about the things that you did wrong, talk about the times when you made stupid mistakes or got into trouble, then maybe they won't look at you as this infallible, person who walks on water, but just an older, wrinkled version of themselves.
Definitely agree. Definitely agree. I think there was a moment in high school when I remember like sitting at the dinner table with my mom, and she started talking about when she was in high school. And this sounds really embarrassing, but it was the first time that I realized that my parents had lives before mine,
Yeah.
and that they had all these experiences, and even though they were different, like that they were people, like real people. And it's so crazy that I had never thought about this before. But yeah, I really think like just sharing honestly and openly, and not just like, oh, when I was in high school I was the best, but like,
Yeah,
saying like,
that.
oh yeah, saying things like, oh, like, when I was in high school, I like really, I loved basketball, but like I was terrible at chemistry or something,
Terrible.
like,
Yeah.
things like that. Yeah.
We're all human.
Yeah. And I also want to say, like, I think the trust thing, it takes a lot of time. But it's well worth it. So
Well, this has been so insightful. I want to take a second and thank everyone. I want to thank Susanna Ordway, who was the first person to connect me to Culture Foundation and Stanford CHIPAO. So thank you, Susanna. I want to make sure I thank Culture Foundation. I want to thank Stanford CHIPAO, Dr. Das, Edric, Dr. Hu, and of course, Cha Cha as well. And just like, this has been a really, really wonderful conversation. We will have it up on YouTube so you can watch it again. And I just want to, thank you for your time and hope that you all have a good evening.
Thank you. Good
Thank you
night.
so much. Good night.